Don't tell me what you believe, show me what you believe is going to be the theme throughout the show tonight. You'll see. All that's coming up right now on I'm Right. You and I have had this talk several times, but we're going to have it again because it's really going to apply over the next 60 days or so until the election. I told you a long time ago that these politicians will say certain things of, I love being here, I love being there. Why are you visiting that state? I'm thrilled to be there. Politicians, presidential politicians who are running for office are now visiting states for a reason. Whenever they go somewhere, they think they need more votes than they currently have, period. You only have so many hours in the day. You only have so many places you can visit. If a presidential candidate is going to a place, whether it be Trump or Biden, they are going there because they think they need more votes in that place, period, end of story. I doubt you will see Donald Trump doing very many campaign events in South Carolina between now and the election. Why? Because it's one of the reddest states in the union. He's going to be just fine there. Joe Biden, almost undoubtedly, not going to spend a lot of time in Massachusetts between now and the election. Don't listen to what they say. Don't listen to the poll numbers each campaign puts out. Oh, this one shows us we're up 90 in Pennsylvania. Oh, everybody loves us in Ohio. No. If they're in Pennsylvania, they're worried about getting the votes in Pennsylvania. Very worried. And guess where they are now? Wisconsin. Trump was there. We'll get to all that in a minute. Trump was there doing a big roundtable meeting with businesses. Joe Biden, fresh on the heels of Trump being there, steps up and announces, I'm going too, and he's off to Kenosha. Joe Biden's putting out ads talking about how he's strong, law and order. Donald Trump's putting out ads talking about how he's strong, law and order. Now, obviously, Donald Trump has the truth on his side when it comes to that. There's simply no denying that Joe Biden and all the Democrats have spent not months, years blaming Republicans for everything and inciting violence against Republicans. Why do you think it is they started calling every Trump supporter Nazi even before the election of Donald Trump? Why do you think that is? Why would you do that? Why do they always use those words? He's Hitler. He's a Nazi. Oh, those immigration detention facilities, those are like Holocaust camps. Why do you think they do that? Do you think they are unaware of any other part of history? No. They do that because they want to dehumanize you and I in the minds of other people. Because after all, morally, what won't you do to a Nazi? If I were to take an actual Nazi right here and shoot a bullet into his head on TV, Heinrich Himmler, if I had Heinrich Himmler right here, brought him back to life and shot him on television, not only would my ratings go through the roof, I'd get my contract renewed and the show would break every record that night. You'd love it. Of course, he's a Nazi. He's an evil piece of crap. He killed millions of people. Once you decide to dehumanize somebody and make somebody a monster, you do that on purpose. It allows your conscience to do whatever you want to that human being. That's when the violence began. It wasn't just what we've seen now, with Trump supporters being murdered in the streets of Portland. That's not how it began. That's how it ends. It began with every single statement, Nazi this and Nazi that. Every single Trump voter has on a Klan hood. Bunch of racists. He's racist. It's a Nazi. He's Hitler. And now, don't look around and be shocked that people are acting on such things because, again, what won't you do to a Nazi? You'll do anything to a Nazi. So Trump has all the high ground on this. Democrats have pushed for this street violence for a long time. Now they're getting it. But Joe Biden has changed his tune. Why? Well, they have some really bad poll numbers. And it's not surprising. Democrats got trapped in their own bubble. Their own bubble is, well, our entire culture. When you own all the federal employees, when you own all of the media, when you own all the entertainment system, when you own all the education system, and when you have America's corporate system bending the knee on your behalf, it feels good. That's a good place to be, right? You've won the culture war. They have. They've won it. That's awesome. Good for you. However, it makes it virtually impossible for you to step out of your bubble and find out what normal voters feel. Because you would have to seek out that information. If you wake up as a conservative, if you wake up as anybody on the right, conservative, libertarian, Republican, whatever you want to call yourself, nationalist, doesn't matter. Anybody on the right, wherever you fall on that spectrum, you wake up and you are immersed in leftism all day long because they own the culture. It's on every TV channel. Shoot, it's on the sitcoms. It's on the movies. All right, let's turn that off. We'll turn it on the radio. Oh, gosh, it's everywhere there. All right, I'm off to school now. Oh, wow, the professor's telling me all that. It's everywhere you look. It's everywhere. However, if you're somebody on the left, how do you even find voices on the right unless you're finding them on purpose? You're never barraged by a conservative message anywhere. Unless you're purposely turning on my show, where do you even get that information if you're them? You never have to confront anything but people who just constantly reinforce your worldview. So Democrats pushed these street riots and pushed them. And yeah, America sucks and America's racist. And now they got poll numbers saying, oh my gosh, people are horrified by us. They don't like these. I had no idea. And that is why Joe Biden's going to Wisconsin. And, to be honest, Trump's going there too for political purposes. Now, he's also going there because it's the right thing to do. You're president of the United States. It's a disaster area. People are losing everything. It's a good thing. It's a right thing, Democrat or Republican, for the president to go and show support. And he did. There he is.
My administration is restoring public safety. We're hiring more police, surging tough-on-crime federal prosecutors, increasing penalties for assaulting law enforcement, and for dismantling Antifa. They don't want to mention the word Antifa. Nobody mentions that. This is a bad group of people. Very, very bad, very dangerous group of people. And we are doing a big number on Antifa. They're bad. We will provide $1 million to the Kenosha law enforcement so that you have some extra money to go out and do what you have to do. You took it was a rough week, to put it mildly, and you've done it incredibly well. I'm also providing nearly $4 million to support these small businesses that I talked about today that got burned down. And we're going to be providing over $42 million to support public safety statewide, including direct support for law enforcement and funding for additional prosecutors to punish criminals and resources to provide services to victims of crime.
Let me be clear about that. Let me be clear about something here. I have no problem with Donald Trump going there, tossing some cash out to the people who are affected. I do not. But I will say this, and this is a big but, that better come with serious law enforcement attacks against Black Lives Matter and Antifa. That better come with, we're going to go after the people who cost us this money, because I'm happy those people are going to get the help they need. That's my money. That's your money. If you're Donald Trump and you're going to hand it out, fine. Being presidential, doing that thing, all good, fine. But again, you had better be serious about holding people responsible. I want prison sentences, lots of them. Not one or two little lackeys. I want leaders going down. I want the people funding all this stuff going down. Speaking of funding, here's A.G. Barr.
These are the same people, many of them who came from out of town. Out of 175 arrests, 100 were from out of town. And these are the same people using the same tactics that have been used in various cities, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Chicago, now Kenosha, Portland. And they use these black bloc tactics, throwing projectiles at police, and literally trying to inflict injuries on police, arson, and rioting.
100 different places? Okay, you know how difficult it is to organize 100 different people to meet in the same place? When I actually watched the NFL, oftentimes found it difficult to organize 10 or 12 men to be in the same place at the same time to draft our teams. If you have 100 people from different places showing up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a place most of those people have never heard of before this, somebody's organizing that. And more importantly, somebody's paying for that. And that's domestic terrorism. So allow me to say this again from the cheap seats. Go ahead and make everybody out there uncomfortable. If the person or people organizing and funding this domestic terrorism, if they're American citizens, they should be thrown in a dark cell for the rest of their lives like we would any other domestic terrorist financier. If they are not American citizens, we should pursue justice by other means. You must do that as a nation to send a message to others who would consider doing the same. Period. And I mean exactly what you think I meant. Here's Portland's police chief. Quote, as I've stated repeatedly, the nightly violence is coming at an increased cost. It is not only that occupied buildings are being targeted, gun violence is skyrocketing. Emergency calls for service are not being answered. This is impacting the safety of our entire city, and urgent action is needed. Our elected officials need to do their part to draw a line in the sand and to hold people accountable. The violent behavior must end. They're begging for help in Portland. And what's their mayor doing? Their mayor's moving out of his apartment because Antifa found it and shot a bunch of fireworks off around it. Take a look at this new Trump ad. Pretty good.
Lawless criminals terrorize Kenosha. Joe Biden takes a knee. Biden and the radical left's weak response has led to chaos and violence, and their calls for defunding police would make it worse. President Trump is making it stop, sending National Guard and federal law enforcement to protect Wisconsin's families. Communities, not criminals. Jobs, not mobs. Strong leadership when America needs it most.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
He can run ads like that all the way to re-election. He can. I think he knows that, and I think he will. Now, that's a bunch of bad news. How'd you like to save some money? You know you can save over $1,600 on monster safes right now? What I'm telling you is Vault Pro, you know the great Vault Pro, Labor Day sale time right now. Brand new deals every single day. You heard me, every single day. These are American-made safes. We're talking gun safes, walk-in vaults, vault doors, storm shelters. We're talking customization. You want to add some shelves, you want to add a workbench, you want to add a gun rack. Vault Pro has it all. And you can still enter to win a free handgun safe. Go to vaultprousa.com. That's vaultprousa.com, but you must enter the promo code Jesse. That's Jesse for those of you who also went to community college. vaultprousa.com, promo code Jesse. We'll be back. Don't tell me what you believe. Show me what you believe. What have you heard from all these politicians, especially the Democrat politicians, although not exclusively, but especially the Democrat politicians about coronavirus? For months and months and months and months, what have you heard? Millions are going to die. Wear a mask. Stay inside. Close your business. Don't get your hair cut. Don't eat in that restaurant. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't. And yet we have our latest example of a politician going out and doing everything they spent months telling you not to do. This time it's Nancy Pelosi. Woke up with a little egg on her face because she decided to go get herself an indoor haircut in San Francisco with her own private stylist. That's her making her way through the haircut salon with no mask on, doing something no other Californian, or at least nobody in that area, is allowed to do at this point in time. Also, this lady's been the one on the forefront of scolding you about how many people are going to die. How you need to do this, you need to do that. She's not alone, though. You know who else did this? That Philly Mayor Jim Kenney, this may be the best part, he personally banned indoor dining. Here's Jim See this? That's Jim. Indoor dining. He traveled to Maryland, sat inside, and ate indoors. So just to be clear, the Philly mayor stands up, destroys restaurant businesses in his own town, and tells all his own citizens it is too dangerous for you to eat inside at a restaurant. Coronavirus could kill you all. And then promptly travels to Maryland and sits inside. Oh, don't think that he's alone. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she told everybody, no haircuts. You are not allowed to get a haircut. Coronavirus will kill everyone if you do. We can't risk that. But then Lori Lightfoot got a haircut. Here's her trying to defend it.
I'm the public face of this city. I'm on national media and I'm out in the public eye. I take my personal hygiene very seriously. As I said, I felt like I needed to have a haircut. I'm not able to do that myself, and so I got a haircut.
Yeah, public face. I mean, she's the public face. She has to, right? Well, wait a minute. I thought people were going to die if you did that, though. You see, what they're really doing is not being hypocrites. I mean, they're doing that, but they're politicians. They're all hypocrites. I mean, frankly, who among us isn't a hypocrite on some level? We all are. But politicians are just the worst scumbags at it. So yes, I expect that out of politicians. Do as I say, not as I do, all that. That's not the point I'm trying to make. What are they all really telling you? And I only gave you 3 examples, keep in mind. I could have taken up this entire show with example after example after example. We had one right down here in Beaumont, Texas. Same thing. Lady had to go get her haircut. What is it with women and getting their haircut? Anyway, what are they really telling you when they go out and do these things? They're telling you, they're showing you how dangerous they really think coronavirus is. I mean, you can stand up behind a microphone all day long. Everybody has to get inside, wear a mask. My goodness, don't eat in a restaurant. But then if you turn around and you head down and grab yourself a burger and fries inside at a restaurant, you're not worried about coronavirus. It appears that these people all know that coronavirus has a 99% plus survivability rate, and they're only doing the things they're doing to control you, to scare you, to gain power. They've shown you time and time and time again that they're not concerned in the least about getting coronavirus. Nancy Pelosi is 9,000 years old. She is a prime case for somebody who actually should be worried about getting coronavirus. She's so unconcerned with it, she dials up her personal stylist, meet me down at the salon, bring vodka, and doesn't even wear a mask while she's getting it done. That's not a person concerned about coronavirus. You know it, and I know it. It's time to accept something that's very difficult to accept. I know. I've been burned like this in my life before. It's maybe even more of a cynic, but it's time to accept something. You got played for a sucker. You did. Coronavirus played you and I for a sucker. I'm not excusing myself. Yeah, I called out against the lockdowns and all that from the very beginning, but still, I wasn't out there revolting the way I should have been. We should have been screaming from the rooftops. We should have been the ones rioting in the street. The second these politicians started destroying this economy over a virus they're not worried about. Don't ever tell me again, Democrats, how coronavirus has you scared to death and little Timmy can't go back to school, and don't open up your small business and we'll arrest you if you open up your gym. You people aren't worried at all about coronavirus. Not at all. I know that, not because of what you've told me, but because of what you've shown me. It's a fact. Now, here's something else that might make you a little uncomfortable. Do you know that cybercrime has gone up 75% since coronavirus? It makes sense, right? Everybody's home now. When you're home, you're on the internet more. When you're on the internet more, you are knowingly or otherwise putting your information out on the web. People exist. It's hard for you and I to understand this, but people exist only to rob you online. That's what they do for a career. As committed as you are to what you do, That's how committed they are. And if they get a hold of your home title, which exists online, you're toast. They're going to forge your signature on it. They're going to take a loan out against it, a loan you have to pay back. And if you don't pay it back, which you probably won't, because you won't even believe, well, I'm not past due, I didn't take any loan out. You get evicted from your home. And the only way to keep yourself safe from this, the only way, is HomeTitleLock.com. Go to HomeTitleLock.com right now, register your address, and see if you're already a victim. You might already be a victim and not know it. While you're there, use the code Jesse, get 30 free days of protection. HomeTitleLock.com. Go protect yourself. We'll be back. Joining me now, Ken the Court. He is the founder of Media Action Network, which I call MAN for obvious reasons. Ken, what do viewers need to figure out now when it comes to presidential politics? They have 2 months. They are going to be waterboarded with more information from more candidates. They're going to hear this poll number and that poll number, and this candidate's going here, and this candidate's saying there, and it can get overwhelming unless you know how to filter it all. How should Joe Blow filter everything he's about to see?
You know, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, one of the things that I tell people is go to original sources. Watch the president speak or watch a press conference and then see how that's reported. And if you're watching somebody and what they're saying makes no sense based on what you saw with your own lying eyes, that gives you a good impression and indication that they're not somebody to trust. I think most people have kind of figured out their trusted sources and maybe to a bad fault. In other words, maybe we've each gotten ourselves into such a bubble. If you're just at Fox, if you're just at Breitbart, if you're just at Jesse, you're going to hear a different world. And I think it's smarter and better. But also it makes sense to once in a while reach out to somebody and stomach through the articles that you don't like. I do it. And so I'll see a lefty saying something, a lefty meaning CNN or CBS, and I'll go and I'll read it to say, is there anything that I get a value out of this that's not just pure, orange man bad stuff? And once in a while I do. I generally find that the media has gone to the mattresses and every single thing that you can filter through presidential politics are. But, you kind of need to intentionally get a little bit of the other side once in a while if you really want to be smart.
Ken, when I see the lefties get on message, even if it's a complete lie, I'm more wary of it than most people on the right, simply because they control so much of the culture, they can snap their fingers and turn 180 degrees. And what I mean is Joe Biden and Democrats have pushed for every Trump supporter is a Nazi. They've been pushing for this street violence for a long time now. They finally have it. The poll numbers look bad. Now they've turned around and they're all putting it down, which nobody's going to call them out on their hypocrisy for the most part on that. And the media is going to carry that message for them, as we've already seen. How effective is that going to be? I happen to think it's very effective.
Look, if it wasn't for the media being completely in the bag for Joe Biden would be at 36% in the polls. All right. I mean, Donald Trump is not running against Joe. Joe's on the ballot. Donald Trump is running against the legacy media and now the social media guys that are trying to spin their world to him. So I think it's hugely effective. And the fact that President Trump, with all his personal faults and his personal foibles, which often work to his advantage in this whole thing that we've got going on now with everybody screaming at each other in the food fight, what you would normally consider foibles on a president's behalf are now serving him well. But no, you're 100%. They're very effective, and they wouldn't be in the race otherwise. It would be over by now.
All right, Ken. You have promised to tear me apart, and we're just going to go ahead and do this on the air. We're going to do this on the air. I'm going to let you have your say. Everybody knows what I've said, only half jokingly, that I think we need a national divorce. My 30-second pitch on it is simply this. A nation is only a nation if there are any common values shared. That's why you become a nation. If you don't have those anymore, it's not the end of the world. It's time to simply go our separate ways so we don't tear each other apart. The change like that, breaking up of countries, is the history of the world. You give it to me, Ken. Why am I nuts?
Well, you're no Abraham Lincoln, my friend. I mean, look, we've been through a civil war. We've defeated communism. We've defeated Nazism. We have fed and freed more people in the world that the world has ever seen. And if you just don't pay attention to the 300 little twits out there for Antifa and turn off the other twits on Twitter, we are still a country that shares a lot of values and shares huge values that don't always go to the extremes. Well, look, and I try to tell this with my liberal friends who sometimes they like me and then they're like, oh my God, I hate you. It's like, you can love clean water and clean air, and we can share that as a value and come to diametrically opposed positions on should the United States get out of the Paris Accords. So many of the things that we're seeing out here, look, the people who are screaming for Black Lives Matter for the most part, and those people when they go to they don't understand what it's about. They just think, oh, it's anti-racism and I'm anti-racist. So don't confuse people's kind of final political things and statements and positions with the fundamental values that we share, because I still think that most Americans have a huge set of overlapping fundamental values. And, you turn off Twitter, you turn off a little bit of the news, and you'll see it in your day-to-day everywhere if you don't let this pound into your skull too much.
All right. I don't agree. I don't see these overlapping values. But, however,
the greatest experiment in human governance that the planet has ever seen, times 5, you're willing to give up because people are in flame wars on Twitter.
No, it has nothing to do with Twitter. And I'm not disputing America's the greatest ever. This experiment was wonderful. It worked out great. However, empires rise and empires fall. There's a shelf life on everything. That's not bad. That's like saying the Roman Empire is bad because they fell. They lasted 1,000 years. The Roman Empire did fine. Eventually, it doesn't work out anymore, and we're heading the other direction. And you and I may both love clean air and clean water, but if they believe the only solution to that is a lot more government, and I think the solution to that is a lot less government, well, what difference does the end point matter? We have a problem.
Well, you're going to have to get past my dead body, because as Winston Churchill said, if this great experiment is to end, it is going to end with me face down in the dirt and mud, choking on my own blood. I'm
fair enough.
I'm keeping I don't grant you a divorce, Jesse. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. What does America look like in reality with a Biden win? Let's assume they keep the House. Let's assume we narrowly keep the Senate. I don't necessarily foresee these things happening, but Biden wins. What is the agenda? Everybody remembers Barack Obama pushed Obamacare hard, and that was really his big domestic thing that he achieved. He didn't do much after that, a bunch of annoying things, but nothing major. What's Biden's thing?
That's a really good question, because I don't think we know who would be the president. Everybody's like, well, Kamala Harris will be running the country if Biden wins, as he slowly slides into dementia. And that's not the case. Kamala Harris will be put in a little office in the executive office building across the street from the White House, and she'll be told, if he dies, you're in. But until that day, it's going to be the chief of staff. It's going to be people who we don't know right now are actually going to have the primary power. So, I suspect that, I don't think that Joe Biden is a radical. I suspect he is somewhat of an empty vessel. He is a I think a somewhat centrist guy who is certainly going to do everything that he needs to say to become president. So I don't know who the president will be. I truly don't. If it's people like that, then it will be not much crazy stuff. If the hardcore guys who are running so much of the Democratic Party, if they actually get their hooks into them and they're the ones that have the chief of staff and have the appointments throughout that administration, look, it'll be a star chamber if he is elected, and we don't know who's running it, and it's hard to predict that until we see who comes up on top.
Ken, I see a lot of Jill Biden, and I mean a lot of Jill Biden. I'm assuming that's just because Joe Biden can't get out there much. She obviously is a highly educated, well-spoken woman, and so they're trotting her out there to do all the interviews that Joe Biden, frankly, probably cannot do. I see it plain as day, and I think to myself, that makes Joe look terrible to have the wife out there all the time. But then again, I'm a big pig caveman. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, look, it's a tricky thing when you're running a candidate, and every 1,000 words he says something idiotic. or stumbles or stares into it or asks what day it is and I think Republicans have to be a little careful of overplaying that, because all he has to do is go to the debate, not piss on himself, and everybody's like, he won. So, but look, they have run a candidate locked in a basement, and it's working for them. Now, we don't know if these polls are right or wrong, but they certainly were on a upswing on it. So it's like, hey, shut up, dude. So, look, Donald Trump was one of the best candidates who said, I'm going to keep doing this thing, insulting people, calling them funny names, doing all of that during his primary campaign, when everybody said, you have to apologize for this, you have to stop doing that. I mean, people who were, and I knew them, people who were in politics for years and won presidential campaigns were saying, dude, you're crazy, stop it. And he had a consistent message saying, when it stops working, I'll change what I'm doing. So I think if you're Biden's handlers, you're starting to get a little nervous because you didn't get a bump out of their convention, which it's shocking that they didn't have a dip down after you looked at some of that. So I think right now you don't want to mess it up too much. You would rather have the criticism that you just said versus, oh, Joe just talked about kids rubbing his leg hair again, and he forgot that it was that he's running against Trump. That's your big fear right now.
Ken LaCourte, Media Action Network. Thank you, my friend.
Good being here. Thanks, Jesse.
All right. Veterans, family of veterans, friends of veterans, I'm about to give you a phone number. If you are struggling with PTSD, if you are struggling with alcohol abuse, drug abuse, mild traumatic brain injury, any of these things, it's not the time to feel ashamed of yourself. It's not the time to feel alone. It's not the time to put it off. It's time to get a hold of Warriors Heart Foundation. They have a phone number that is monitored 24 hours a day. They're waiting to help you. They're going to help you in a way that works for you. They have outpatient stuff. They have all kinds of things. They have a 40-bed, 543-acre ranch they can take care of you at. They will help you in a way you need help, but reach out. Be strong enough to reach out. The number is 866-950-0636. That's 866-950-0636. All right, that's veterans. That's family and friends of veterans and veterans themselves. You and I, we have to do something. This is a 501c3. Warriors Heart exists because of you and I. It is time for us to give. Let's go give and help these people who are helping get our veterans back on their feet. Go to warriorsheart.com/thefirst. That's warriorsheart.com/thefirst. We'll be back. Joining me now, a friend of mine, Joy Vila. She has a brand new book out called Kick-Ass Conservative, How I Escaped Liberal Feminism to Become a Freedom-Loving Trumplican, and How You Can Too. Joy, first of all,
yes.
The wallpaper paint thing, whatever's going on back there behind you, I feel like I'm on drugs here. The blue tie-dye thing.
Yeah. Oh, I painted that. I painted that, actually. It's reversed.
Hold on, let me understand this. Let me understand this right. You sing and paint? Where did you learn to be so artsy?
I was always raised this artsy. Since I was 5 years old, I sing, I dance, I act, I paint. I'm just an artsy person. I design. I just love anything. I'm very, very right-brained. So this is part of it. And then now I've written a book. Now I'm an author, which I'm really excited about.
Is that nature or nurture to be an artsy person? Because I can't do any of that. I can't sing, dance, draw. I can't play an instrument. I got kicked out of choir in the 6th grade. How does one become that? Is that purely parents, or is that how God made you?
I think it's both. It's how God made me. And then also my parents helped me do that. They put me in acting classes. They let me join the choir. They let me, so it's like one of those things where my parents didn't stop me from being artistic. But I think everybody can learn an instrument. I play guitar. I think everyone can learn an instrument. Everyone can learn how to draw. But some of us are just more natural. We take to it like a fish in water. I naturally just took to it like a fish in water. No one had to really teach me. I've just always been an artist.
I gotcha. I think I'm going to teach my sons or get them guitar lessons because those guys slay with the chicks. But anyway, that's another story entirely. Joy, tell me about this book.
So my new book is Kick-Ass Conservative, and I'm so excited because it is my whole journey. It is about how I left the left, how I walked away, and I talk about how and why I wore that dress, the infamous Trump dress at the Grammys. I talk about why I'm pro-life and my story. There's really a shocking story in there that shattered my life. I was, told to get an abortion, but I chose life. I chose open adoption. I talk about meeting the president and how fun that was. I talk about why Black Lives Matter is destroying our country and why I'm feminine, but not a feminist, and more. I share a lot of deep, dark secrets in here, juicy stories, pictures. It's 200 pages and it's really fun. And it's taken directly from questions from my fans. What do they want to know about me? What can we do to save America and support the president? And so this is my 4 years fight. I've been dedicating my life to fighting for this country and in being an artist, a successful artist. And that's what we have here. And I want to teach other people how to be a kick-ass conservative.
You think this will help young ladies out there? Because I know there's a generation of probably teenage, early 20s women trying to make their way in the world. There's all this societal pressure chirping in their ear to become a leftist nutball every single day. They need some kind of guidance. Can they get some guidance from this?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is not just for women, but for men too. But because I'm a woman who's done this and I faced a lot of the BS that a lot of young women face today, whether being told, pro-choice is like pro-woman. No, pro-life is pro-woman. So standing up for yourself, having integrity is pro-woman. And I talk about feminism has betrayed us. Also, why it's such an important journey to find your ethics and your values and to find your lifestyle. Make that a lifestyle. And that's truly how you're going to be successful in this world for the long run. Find a message. Use your voice over the violence. And I hope that I can be a role model for a lot of young girls. A lot of people tell me that. Their parents tell me that. I love it. I'm myself. I'm flawed. I'm weak. I wasn't always how I am now, but through the grace of God and through my journey, I've been able to achieve a lot of success and help a lot of people. So women, men, everyone can read this book and learn a lot. It's available on iTunes. Not iTunes. I'm used to promoting music so much. It's available on Amazon. Speaking of music, I have a new song coming out soon too, which I'll have to come back and show you guys here on Jesse's show. But it's available at Amazon.com. It actually just reached number 6 on the Women in Politics charts, or in the new books charts, and number 9 on the Women in Politics charts. So Amazon and joyvilla.com.
And let's be clear, you're not coming back to show us your new song. You're going to play that daggone thing, or we're going to play a music video of it or something of it. We're going to hear, we're going to get the whole thing on here. All right, Joy, one of the things, in all seriousness, everybody knows we have a lot of fun every time you come on, but one of the things I genuinely admire is you did something hard. I hate that so many people on the right seem to only do the easy things. You're in your industry that is as whacked out lefty as it gets, and you chose to completely swim against the tide by coming out as not only a Republican, by coming out as a hardcore Trump supporter. Where did you get the backbone to do that? Forgetting about just the belief portion of it, that had to be nerve-wracking, right?
Oh, it was totally nerve-wracking. And I detail that in the story. My hands were sweating. I detail that whole story from beginning to end. In fact, I opened the book with that, the intro. And it's something that I just was fed up. I was fed up with Madonna and Scarlett Johansson and everyone else telling us, the Women's March, that Trump is bad and that this is the only way. And Madonna said from the Women's March in January 2017, I think an awful lot about blowing up the White House. And I was like, are you kidding me? He hasn't been in office for barely 2 weeks, and you want to blow up the White House when people elected the president of the United States. Give him a freaking chance. And I was just like, I had become a hardcore Trump supporter by then, secretly. But I was sick of also being secret about it. If somebody who I worked with before, I worked with Madonna on her Hard Candy fitness tours, her fitness for Good Morning America. And I've loved Madonna. I've loved all these Hollywood icons that I wanted to be like. And they want to blow up the White House. They want to hold a severed head of the president. They want to be disgusting and perpetrate violence against the president's is the people's house, right? So the president was elected by the people. And I just was fed up. And I said, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to come out strong. And I'm an independent artist. I don't have a record label. So I've hit #1 independently on Billboard, iTunes, and Amazon. I've toured 35 countries. So I had that confidence that came from I am who I am. And I've been in the business since 2011. And so by the time this happened, it was me just saying, F the haters, F the violence. I'm going to do what's right. And honestly, the extreme love and the extreme hate from it has just perpetuated, honestly, more rebellion on my part. I just want to keep doing it because I'm like, the more people stay silent or are weak, like you said, a lot of Republicans are not standing up when they should be. This is the time. Now is the time to stand up against the left. And the president is elected by us. He's in a position of power for 4 more years. He will win in a landslide, but the rest of the time is going to be up to us. So we got to take that responsibility for our nation.
Joy, 35 countries. What's the best food you ate in a foreign country? Now, unless you're one of these weird fitness girls who eats pine nuts and kale every meal or something. I mean, a real food. What is it?
Well, I am a weird fitness girl and I'm vegan, so you're not going to like that. But I would say the best food I've eaten is in Indonesia. That's one of my favorite countries. And Bali has incredible fresh fruit, but then they also have like incredible rice dishes with veggies and tofu and flavors, very spicy. Indonesia is my favorite country. And Singapore is amazing as well. I love Southeast Asia.
I actually didn't mind Southeast Asia, but I didn't visit the nice parts of it that you have. However, I did not expect tofu to be on the freaking list when I asked you to name me the best food in a foreign country. Daggone it. Joy Vila, go buy her new book. Joy, plug it one more time. How can they get it?
Yes, it's Kick-Ass Conservative. You can get it on Amazon.com. You can get an ebook, audiobook coming in just a few weeks. Go to joyvilla.com, and because you're one of Jesse Kelly's listeners, you get 20% off if you sign up for the mailing list. So joyvilla.com, pick it up today. Just came out 2 days ago.
How about that? Appreciate you, Joy.
Thank you. Bye, Jesse.
See ya. Now, if that doesn't fill you up with patriotism, it should. I like when people have guts. And you know what's amazing? And I can't believe I'm about to say this. It actually takes guts to fly the American flag these days. I hate that. But patriotism in many parts of the country is going out of style. It's the job of you and it's the job of me to make sure it gets back in style, because love of country is not a bad thing. It's not something to look down on. It's the best thing. Go get an American-made, American-engineered flagpole from Atlantic Flag and Pole. This is a small family business. Their only goal is to get Old Glory flying in yards all across the United States of America. And I'm going to save you a little bit of money. How about 10% off? If you go to AtlanticFlagpole.com and use the code Jesse, you get 10% off. AtlanticFlagpole.com, promo code Jesse. American engineered and American made. Go fly Old Glory. We'll be back. We are short on heroes out here right now, and we're definitely short on superheroes. We did some digging and we found the next generation.
Es geht hier.
Be a dad to your sons. You won't regret it. We'll see you tomorrow.